Hey everybody, and welcome back to Indie Corner Radio. I'm your host, Jonathan Moody, and I've got an awesome guest here who hasn't been on this show. I have interviewed him, I think at least once before, at Scares That Care. But please welcome Dave Kerr. How you doing, Dave?
Hey, how's it going, man? Appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, Dave did some great movies like The Slasher Nurse, and I think you're now finishing up Return of Slasher Nurse.
It's just Slash and Nurse. The first two was Curse of the Slash and Nurse and then Return of the Slash Nurse. And this is essentially a reboot, so we just shortened it and called it the Slasher
Nice. And then you also got Bloody Summer Camp, and you're doing Bloody Summer Camp too. You're in the world of sequels right now.
Nurse. Yeah, it seems that way.
Are you a fan of sequels?
Sometimes. Some films I feel like they're meant for sequels. Other films I feel like they're not, but they get a popularity and then they force one. I'm all for, uh, you know, I'm all for trilogy sequels. As long as it feels like it's, wasn't forced. Um, Bloody Summer Camp. When we did that, we always kind of had an idea that we were sequels, so we kind of left it that way. You know?
Like Ginger Snaps, let me bring that up. Like you've seen that movie, right?
Yeah.
But then they made the sequel, which didn't make any sense because spoiler alert, it's been out for a while, so if you haven't seen it, that's
Yeah.
but the one of the main girls died. So like
Yeah.
So I don't think they were planning a sequel. They were just planning Ginger Snaps 1 and that was it. And then it became a hit, so they made Ginger Snaps 2 and it's sort of I guess they tried to make it make sense and then Ginger Snaps 3 was just like just it was just in another like thing because it was back in time and the two girls looked it was just like okay,
Yeah.
whatever.
And I mean, I love the series, but Silent Night, Deadly Night. As that progressed, I mean, you could tell they had no plans for a sequel,
Right.
and everyone just got weirder and weirder the further they got away from it. So, but it sparked some interesting sequels.
Yeah. I need to buy the ones I think like Vestron or somebody like that put out a bunch of them, so I need to get those at some point, you know. But I enjoy this. I enjoy what I've seen of the Silent Night, Deadly Night. I need to watch more of them because just been
Yeah, I
uh,
I love the first one. Second one is more of a rehash of the first one, but it's got some iconic scenes like Garbage Day, and
Garbage Day. Yeah,
I
that's the line
believe
everybody remembers.
believe the third one was Bill Moseley. That one was a weird one.
I
If
remember
that I believe
that
that was
one was a toy maker and had a big name star in it too. Like
yeah. Brian Bremer was the toy maker in the Nightmare shit Silent Night Deadly Night toy maker.
So what are some of like your influences? Like what are the movies that like inspire you?
Uh, yeah, horror wise, I've always loved the '80s slashers. Obviously, that's what inspired me to start making films in the first place. Was I wanted to make a slasher film. I grew up, loving uh, Halloween. Friday the 13th. The biggest one that when I was a kid that I really liked was Nightmare on Elm Street. Um, but those were the ones that stuck with me. And then I take inspiration from a lot of films. Any film that I feel like changes things up, I'm always kind of motivated by those films. Um, it's hard anymore to do anything that's original or do anything new because everyone's done everything. But I always try to find something unique. I'm
Hmm.
always looking for some kind of something different. We didn't do that with Blade Summer Camp. Blade Summer Camp was specifically supposed to be just a love letter to the '80s films, but when we did go away, we had a little twist in there that we wanted to do, and our film that we're going to be doing next year called Awfully Strange Night. That is probably one of the weirdest films that I'll have done. You know, I'm always trying to branch out, even though I do get pulled back into doing slashers a lot.
Well, I mean, your company's, called Slasher 15, right? Like I thought that's all you would do, Like that's
Horror films, yeah, but I mean, I'm not tied directly straight to slasher films. The the actual name was a combination of when I was originally going to join up with another person in their company, and it didn't pan out, but I just kind of kept the name.
that's a catchy name. I like it, and it definitely, if you hear that name, you know horror, like there's no,
Yeah,
it's just like my company, Sick Flick Productions, like I mean, you're not gonna think, oh, that's a family friendly comedy, company or
yeah,
whatever, and that's fine. That's what, what I want to do. But that's what you want to do. You got into horror and you wanted to make horror and you want to make a company name that signifies you do horror. That makes sense.
yeah.
Now, are you ever thinking about doing like a regular comedy or drama or something that doesn't have horror in it?
Uh, I'd like to, but it's a little more difficult. I've written scripts that weren't horror films before, and I always kind of toy with it. I don't know if I'll ever um, make one of those films, but I do write those films from time to time. If I get inspired, I'll make, just a straight comedy or just a straight
Yeah.
dramedy adventure type stuff. But as far as one of the biggest things is, unless we do go the route at some point of getting investors and stuff like that, crowdfunding anything outside of horror is a big challenge because um, I think we would still have a lot of support now that maybe in the future we can do it because every film that we put out we do gain kind of a following of people who support us regardless of what we make. So maybe in the future, but I know right now the whole thing is like if you're making anything other than a horror film is really difficult to get crowdfunding attention.
Hmm.
You don't have the flashy killers and stuff like that to draw people in.
Yeah, I mean your perks, usually are stuff probably like get killed in a movie or something, or
Yeah,
whatever. And uh what would it be for a romantic comedy? Get kissed in a movie, or something? Like I mean,
be a background character.
yeah.
Yes, yeah, it's small stuff like that. Yeah, it's definitely doesn't have the glam of the horror genre behind it. Like I said, not saying you couldn't get crowdfunding, but it would the budget would be much smaller, and I feel like it's even more difficult because when you're not killing people and spraying blood everywhere, people are paying a lot more attention to the other things, and they're
Yeah,
less forgiving.
like the acting,
Yeah,
which in a horror
yeah,
film you can have bad acting, because it
yeah,
just kind of makes it more fun sometimes.
yeah. The cheesy acting, they forgive you if any of the acting is a little cheesy because that's kind of part of the appeal to it.
Yeah, and plus most of those characters die anyway. So like the people are only there to watch these people get killed in some way or another. Like they're not
Yeah,
there to root. Oh, sometimes they're there to root for them. So you want the better actors to be the main characters. Yeah.
exactly.
But I mean that's the beauty of horror. So when you were a kid, you said you grew up watching the 80s slasher films or whatever, but was that your main childhood or did you kind of get older and get into that?
No, that was my main childhood. Honestly, a lot of people ask, "Hey, what was the first horror movie you ever saw?" I have no idea. I don't remember a time where it's like, oh, I found the first horror film I ever saw. I remember horror films that I don't know the title to. I'm rediscovering horror films that I've seen but didn't know that I've seen because when I was a kid, I watched it. There's still one film in my. I found a bunch of them, but I don't know if it's an episode of like Tales of the Crypt. I don't know if it's some B movie. There's some fucking film that I remember where this kid was force fed chicken eggs by a bunch of other kids that were bullying him, and then he's like grown up and he's bald and he's like I don't even know if he's a killer. He's just fucking deranged looking. And he goes in like a supermarket and starts eating chicken eggs. I have no fucking clue what film that is, but I remember it. And um, Pledge Night. That was one that I found recently. Acid Sid. There's just so many horror films that I saw, and I didn't know what they were when I was a kid. But then like I said, I'm finding them again. So horror was a part of my childhood.
That's so funny. I sort of have an exact opposite sort of thing. Like I was into like the Disney horror. I was talking to Michael yesterday, Michael McLean, your buddy,
Yeah,
about
I've 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 heard of
you've heard of him, yeah. He's
them.
he was talking about, or we were talking about uh I got into like, Disney horror. So I watched stuff like Mr. Boogedy. I don't know if you remember that or not, but it's like this guy who would go boogity boogity boo. I'm not kidding. I'm not making that up. And that was like that stuff scared me as a kid, so I was easily scared, and I'd read like the Friday the 13th novels, but I'd be too scared to watch the movies, and stuff like that because I don't know. It just terrified me. But the books and everything, didn't terrify me as much, but it did still kind of scare me. And so I got
Yeah,
into horror, but I got really into horror later in life. So I always love talking to people who've been into horror pretty much since childhood, because a lot of them do grow up to become horror filmmakers because of it.
yeah. I mean, like I said, it's I did, I wasn't into horror the entire time. I watched a bunch of horror films when I was a child. I've always loved horror, but there was a period there where I watched a lot of comedy films, and then I got with my wife, and she loved horror films, and I kind of got back into horror films. But yeah, it's been there since I was a kid, and I think that's why I favor the '80s slashers because that's my childhood. That's like when you see something and it brings back that nostalgic feel, um, that's what the '80s slashers are to me because that's what I remember as growing up.
Definitely. I love I grew up on Jason. I grew up on Michael. I did not grow up on Freddy. I was terrified of Freddy as a kid. Like I thought Freddy was scary looking, and I think I watched part five. Yeah, it was part five, the one where the girl's like her face kind of blows up or whatever. She gets fat and fat, and she like explodes or whatever.
Yeah,
I don't. Was it her face or her body? Something like that. It was like she
I
just
think it was
kept
the whole
eating.
thing.
Yeah, she just kept eating and everything. And that terrified me because that was on cable, you know,
Oh
and
yeah,
it
yeah.
was it wasn't scary, it wasn't gruesome enough where they cut it. So you could watch it on like USA, and I was like terrified of that shit.
I think I liked it. I think that appealed to me more as a kid because of Freddie's joking personality. I think that because I loved Ernest movies. I fucking loved Ernest Scared Stupid. So
Yeah.
I think even though Freddy was a horror film, I think that I'm not as much of a Friday of a Nightmare on Elm Street fan now. I'm more of a Halloween fan. But I think that's it appealed to me when I was younger was because of his comical and also, some of the deaths were kind of comical, like when the giant fucking Q-tip, that he stuck in the dude's fucking ear and stuff. It was almost like he was a horror cartoon character.
Well,
With the stuff that he did.
yeah, and Freddy versus Jason, he has that line where he's like, "Got your nose." I'm like, oh my God, like what am I watching here? Um, but it's so goofy and silly that you just don't, he sort of becomes like I remember I had to review Wes Craven's New Nightmare, and they were talking about how all these kids were like in the audience waiting for Freddy. to come out and everything. And I'm like 4-year-old kids and shit are just like they love Freddy and how does this rated R movie monster, 'cause none of them were ever PG-13, become this like icon that like kids are in love with it?
and and he specifically killed kids. Like
Yeah,
that was his whole thing. Is he
yeah.
targeted kids?
I think because in the first one it was really kind of creepy and scary. The second one it got a little goofy, especially like with Mark doing all that dancing and shit. Like it just got
Uh,
really weird and goofy, and it was like, okay, this is. But Freddy was still Freddy. He did not change his like sort of tone. And then I think in three, when he had like the TV on the girl's head and all that, it just became one-liners and silliness and everything.
it's
So
it's kind of similar to Chucky. The first couple Chuckies, and then by the time you get to Bride of Chucky, Seed of Chucky, it's just getting more and more comical, and less horror, more horror comedy.
exactly. Um, except then it goes back with like Cult of Chucky and whatnot. It's less comedy, and
Yeah,
he tried to bring it back, I guess, to what originally
back
he was doing.
yeah, back to its roots. Yeah,
Yeah, which I think they're trying to do for a lot of characters. Like they tried to do that with Freddy with the remake, and that was so bad that nobody cared. Like it just.
yeah. They had something, and then they lost it with that
Mhm.
film. They definitely, I think they were in going in the right direction on the horror aspect of it, but they got too far away from Freddy. The design, the character,
The
it
design
just
looked like the Grinch stole Freddy,
yeah.
yeah, that like it just looked terrible. It was like the Cat in the Hat as Freddy Krueger,
I
you know.
I get that you're trying to go more realistic, but you still gotta have him look like fucking Freddy Krueger. Don't
Mm.
have him look like a burn victim. Have him at least still look like Freddy Krueger.
Right. But yeah, so it was and I mean, I think they changed his tone too because like in the first Freddy, first Nightmare on Elm Street, I don't think he was a child molester or anything. He was just a child. Yeah, he just killed children, right? Like
I
he was.
think, yeah. So I think in the original, I think that was their plan, but they didn't do it because of that whole. I think originally he was supposed to be, but yeah, in the originals, I don't think that context never made it to the screen.
Hmm. So I think in the newer remake, wasn't it more like that, like more seedy,
Oh
more
yeah,
and
yeah. They showed that the girl found photo. They never showed the photos, but they showed the girl found photos and it proved that Freddie was what they thought he was. And again, it was implied, and they never said it out loud. But yeah, they were saying that he was a child molester.
now to go back to your work, because I do generally get off on little things and stuff, and I love hearing other people's opinions on movies. So that's great. But do you like jokey, kind of goofy characters who are funny like that? Do you like the Freddys and the Chuckies?
Yeah, to a point. Um, I know a lot of people dug Bride of Chucky and Seed of Chucky. I kind of fell off of Chucky when he got into that phase. I like the originals better. Um, I like comedy in horror films, but it depends if you do it right. You've got like Art the Clown that's funny when he kills, but and it works. But you have to kind of pick your moments with that, and you can't let it take away from the horror aspect of the film. You can't have a death come out more of a joke because then you're taking the scary part out of the film. I try to when I do films, I try to have comedy in the films in between the killings But when there's actually killing, I try to focus more on the horror aspect of it because
Mhm.
I don't want a death to be ruined by a joke.
Right.
But
And I agree with that. I think there are, I and I sort of like because I know a lot of people get on Eli Roth about a lot of stuff, but I hate when it's just one-liners and shit like I'll knife you later, and stuff. It has no like I sort of agree with Eli on that. Like it doesn't have any fun to it. Now, I haven't seen Thanksgiving yet, but it seems like that's more along lines of like a Friday the 13th or Scream or whatever, but like less talky with the killer, I think. I kind of
yeah,
want to see Thanksgiving though, just because, I know his
yeah,
slashers.
I have a tendency to look up spoilers. I've actually managed to not watch any, not read any spoilers about that film because I do plan on watching it. I mean, there's been a lot of positive talk about the film.
Hmm.
So I haven't looked up anything about it. Eventually, I am going to watch it, and I want to go into it um, without knowing what's going on, just because I've heard good things about it. So I hope I'm not disappointed.
I hope I'm not disappointed either. I love Eli, but a lot of people hate on him. I don't know why. I think it's just because a lot of people in this industry, especially like people who are into horror films, they tend to just get on a bandwagon against, popular things that are popular, and
Yeah, well, people didn't like him for the Hostel films because it was just torture porn, and then it wasn't really horror. And then he does horror, and then they still don't like.
yeah,
I
they
I
just
loved I loved the original Cabin Fever. Um,
yeah.
I thought
I
it was a
did
good
not watch
film.
the remake because like why do I want to watch a shot for shot remake?
Yeah, it's a fucking shot for shot. I can't understand why I would ever watch that. It makes no
No.
sense to me.
Now, if they did another Cabin Fever, like Cabin Fever, what, 4 or whatever, I'd be all
I
down with it.
s- yeah, I saw Patient Zero. I think I may have seen part three. I mean, they got worse as they went on, but I did
Didn't
see those.
did Ty West do part two
I,
or
I
something?
think so. Yeah, I think
Yeah,
so.
and it's crazy to think, like, the guy who brought us X, and I love him. I think he's a great director. I honestly do. I think he's fantastic.
Yeah,
Uh,
I've only seen X. I haven't seen
Pearl,
Pearl. Yeah.
no, I want to see Pearl, and I have heard some stuff about this new one because there's a lot of stuff going on, I guess, behind the scenes in that one, with Mia
Yeah,
Goth and everything.
Maxine. Yeah.
Yeah, but which I could care less about because like I wasn't there, like I
Well,
just
my favorite part about that is when people automatically oh, the background actor's line, he's full of shit. I'm like, I mean, how the fuck do you know? I don't know if it happened or not. How
and
can you just automatically say, oh, that dude's full of shit?
yeah, I completely agree. I kind of try to keep out of that like stuff and say that stuff uh just because I don't know, I don't know what
Yeah,
happened. So I wasn't there.
yeah. I
And
mean, she might not have did it, but she
yeah,
might have. I don't fucking know.
and I don't know her, period,
Yeah,
I know
I'm.
like I know people will start getting little bit of a big head when they start becoming more and more popular. But like I've heard great things about her on sets from different people.
Yeah,
So whatever, you know. But what were you saying?
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's like I said, you just don't know. I mean, she might not have did it. I mean, don't crucify her until unless there's evidence. But at the same time, God, don't throw the other dude down and call him a liar just because you're a fucking Maya golf fan.
Yeah, I don't know. I may tweak this in a second if you don't feel comfortable, and we might change the subject in a second. But there was an announcement of a guest at a horror convention, and
Yeah,
uh it's so funny because some people will say, "Oh, the person was acquitted," and everything. I'm like, that doesn't make him innocent. That just makes them not be able to find evidence to prove he was guilty of that at that time. Like, so
Yeah.
it's I'm not gonna say what or whatever. I just don't want to get this is going on YouTube. I don't want, any kind of trash talk, but people who so I'm sure other people will know what I'm talking about and everything.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
do you have
Well,
anything to say on that or no?
yeah, well, my whole thing is like you said. Um, I saw someone else. They say they're against cancel culture. I am too. When the cancel culture stuff happened and people were getting thrown under the bus for an allegation, that shit was getting out of hand. Like someone would get accused of something and they would be let go before an investigation was ever even made. I was definitely against that.
Right.
That being said, if you have multiple allegations against you
30.
and one of the reasons that you get off is because multiple people who had those allegations happen to die before going to court. I'm not saying you're guilty, but maybe don't invite him to a convention because you don't, again, like the other shit, you don't know either way. And the fact is that this guest has upset a lot of people. And if I was a convention, I would not have booked someone that I knew was going to cause such I mean, you got people that are, that are fucking, canceling their fucking their tickets. I mean, was it really worth it to lose people that have been coming to your convention for years? To me, I don't know if the person's guilty. I don't think anyone knows, but there was a lot of stuff against that person, and like you said, just because they were acquitted does not mean that it was proven that none of that stuff happened.
And I've heard multiple stories. Now, once again, they are stories. They're things that aren't necessarily, you can't prove that this is a fact, right? They are, stories. But I've heard multiple stories about that said person and the stuff that they've done in the past on old projects that I'm just like I like yeah, like you said, like why just because they are going to be the biggest person you've ever had at the convention, yeah, that's probably also because they're a big person because everybody knows, then doesn't like them. Like it's
Well,
silly to
and
me.
then there's the security thing because
Yeah.
there's a lot of people that are really really not happy about this, and I can't help but think that it wouldn't surprise me if stuff was said to him. I mean, I'd be scared if I was a convention runner about how that was going to go down.
I
It's
mean,
just
I'm not
to
going.
me,
Like,
yeah,
and
yeah.
I wasn't going anyway. Like I wasn't ever planning to go, but now like I definitely like even if I were going or planning to go, I would pull out because I don't want to be around that. That's going to be a very negative scene at one point. And I kind of like in a way, like I kind of feel bad. Uh like this sounds terrible for saying, but I kind of feel bad for him in a way because like he is he's outcasted by everybody. He's blacklisted. He's not able to get work, right? So this is not something he probably would have done if he were still on like a Netflix show or something,
Oh yeah.
Like he would not have done this. This is beneath him. Sounding like that sounds terrible, but like this is beneath him. However, him going there now, he's putting himself in a very awkward position where there are going to be people who don't like him, and they're probably not just protesters, but there are going to be people who are going to get probably violent toward him,
It's very
and stuff.
possible. Yeah.
And they're risking the chance that the convention themselves, and they could say, well, he wanted to do it, so it's fine, but they are risking the chance that there might be something bad happen at that convention. I
Well,
don't want it to, but I'm just saying.
there that could cause problems with the guests too. I mean, that could cause violent interactions with the guests. Guests could get mad at other guests for getting his autograph. Guests could get in fights over stuff being said. The thing is that conventions, horror conventions, have been prided on being this place where fans, tend to get along. It seems a lot of people like to think of it as, as a gathering of friends, and then you have this that is just, man, hundreds. So they they have been controlling the negative comments under their post,
Mm-hmm.
which is another thing that have been making people mad because because they were censoring essentially. Uh, but when other people shared the post on their own page, I saw one under a Joe Bob group. It had 182 comments, and I'm not shitting you that 99% of them were negative. I
Yeah.
mean, there's a lot of negativeness towards this, and to me, like you said, it might be the biggest cats they've ever had. But I mean, I don't know who looked at that and was like, "This will be fine."
I mean, look, I'm not saying that he is guilty, because
No,
I mean, we don't know. He was found innocent. So, okay, and innocent until proven guilty. But like, I have to ask you this because I've been thinking about it, hardcore. I was like thinking, okay, a lot of these things are old cases, right? And a lot of it was probably behind closed doors, right? Unless they
hmm
had like an actual like conversation with him on like a text or something where he admitted to it, there's no evidence that there would never
yeah.
be any evidence. So there was
Well,
just no way to,
and
prove it.
people were like, well, these, like you said, this is years old. If it really happened, then why didn't they come forward before? Look at fucking Harvey Weinstein.
Yeah.
How many years did he get away with it before they found Bill Cosby? How many years? Back then, people did not do that. When you had someone of that stature, a lot of people, who the hell are you versus
Yeah.
who the hell are they?
They were afraid of them because most of the time, if they do go to the cops, especially, this sounds terrible, but guys, because this were dudes, and everything. When a dude goes to a thing and says, I've been sexually assaulted to a cop, most cops go, what the, like, sexually assaulted? Like, you're a
Yeah.
dude,
Well,
can't you
and
protect yourself?
and I'm sure he's got lawyers that they were well aware that, any, like you said, there's no evidence, his lawyers would have kept that from sticking, and then you're the one who went up against this person. Um, there could be a dozen reasons why. The thing is, though, the biggest thing is the quantity of allegations. I mean, it's anyone can have false allegations, but when they start stacking up, that's when it starts to be like, is it really possible that all these people are lying?
Hmm.
But
Well, I mean,
again,
yeah.
again, you don't know either way. But to me, that I could, as soon as I saw that, I was like, that's not a good idea.
Yeah.
Like,
I saw somebody write like, well, now we're going backwards,
I
like,
hope I, I hope they at least had a meeting and discussed the pros and cons of it. I mean, if
I,
they did, I can't believe that they went through with it. But I hope that they at least, like, didn't just blindly do it, and at least, like, okay, well, what's the negative that's going to happen? I hope they at least weighed it and determined in their eyes that it was still worth doing, because I hope it wasn't just a, oh, this will be fine.
I mean, how does one even like think about that? Like, does somebody go, "Oh man, let's get him for our convention. Let's see
Hey,
if he's not doing anything these
he
days."
might he might he might be pretty desperate.
Yeah, or he might
Um,
have been the one who contacted them and said, "I don't think so, though,
could
because no
be.
offense, I love that convention, but they're kind of small potatoes compared to like some of the bigger
Days of,
conventions.
yeah.
So like that was probably another deal breaker for it. It's like this is a smaller company, so it's not
Well,
going to get the
I've seen two other instances recently where two different cons did something similar, but those two people, I could see some people not knowing about it, because like certain person from Ferris Bueller's Day Off, you know, that said person,
it broke
did
my
some
heart,
stuff.
man.
Yeah. But I could see that I don't recall ever seeing that in the news. I mean, if it was him versus the guy that we're talking about, one made major news. The other might have been on the news, but probably wasn't that big of a story. So I can see those two where they got the person but didn't realize that there was anything, and then like, oh shit. And then when they got the backlash, they took them off. This one
Right.
is like this was like in the media for years, like during the whole process. It's hard to believe that they, I mean, they obviously knew about it, and I guess they thought, well, like like everyone said, well, oh, dismissed, so he's
I think
clear,
that's probably what they thought is like, okay, well, this guy, is acquitted of all charges, so let's we can have him because that's what we'll say. We'll say he was found not guilty. So what are you guys complaining about? Well, I mean, it's
Well, Victor Salva served his time in jail, but I still wouldn't be.
well, yeah, but I mean, most convention, I don't think any conventions ever had Victor, you know.
I
It,
hope the fuck not, because I
like
mean,
they've had all the other characters and cast from
yeah.
his movies, and that's fine because they never, as far as I know, never did anything wrong. But for it's insane to me that this guy did this on multiple people, like 30 people have come out and at least three of them ended up dead before the trial, and yet people are going, well, he was acquitted. So
Here's here's another example. O.J. Simpson was found not guilty, but I would not book him at a con.
right. And then, oh man, I saw one person bring that up, and the other person was like, "Is that all you got, man, to bring up OJ? Are they even in the same category?" I'm like, "Yes,
Yeah,
they
kind of.
are."
Well, then again, OJ only had two victims,
He
but
only had two victims, and both can't speak, can't share.
yeah.
And on top of that, his glove didn't fit, so he must have quit. But
Yeah.
I don't know.
But
Like I would not want if I saw OJ Simpson, I would probably walk the other way. And that's how I kind of feel about this guy. Like if I saw this guy walking down the halls of a convention, I'd walk the other way because I wouldn't want like it would be bad news, period, for anybody to be associated with him. And it sucks when people like James Franco was had a lot of crap. He did something really fucking stupid. And he got his jail. But he served his stuff. He owned what he did. He said everything. This other guy goes on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, uh, and then blames being drunk for his actions. No, 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 no. You can't do that. That's no. You have to own it up if you're gonna whatever. So I don't know. It's just lots of crap, with this. So
yeah, like I said, he, not saying he did it, not saying he didn't do it, but just think it was a bad idea because a lot of people feel very strong about their opinions about that.
yep. And me personally, like I said, I probably wouldn't want to meet him, wouldn't want to get his autograph or a picture. Like, what if you get a picture with him, like a photo op, and then you post it online. You know how much crap you're gonna get
Here with my buddy.
here, especially if he's like with kids. Ah,
Oh my God.
can you even
Oh, I
let
didn't
him?
think about that.
Yeah. Can you even let
Oh, I
him do
didn't.
that? Like,
Oh,
the
family photo.
oh God, this is not gonna go well. And I wouldn't be surprised if it happens just like the Beetlejuice actor, where it just kind of like they blame somebody else. Oh no, 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 he's not coming. He declined or whatever. He's no longer
Yeah.
because I guarantee you he's gonna get them themselves like are gonna get death threats, you know, or other things happening because of this. This is not the way you want to run a convention, in my opinion. So,
Uh, yeah, like I said, I would I would have thought that especially as you're growing as a convention, that you would purposely try to avoid anything that would put because they could have gotten anyone else, someone else,
mhm,
and got their fans excited without pushing any fans away. Instead, they get someone. My guess is they got him to bring in more people who don't usually come.
right.
So I feel like you're alienating your target uh, customers to try and bring in one timers who are only going to come because of him and never come again.
Yeah, and they're gonna spend their 200, 500, whatever dollars on him, and then they're gonna walk out of the convention, and
It's
it's
dude,
it's not gonna be worth it, you know.
yeah, and like last year they had a rock star, which made more sense. Nothing. There was nothing negative about that, but that line was crazy, incredibly long. Um,
Oh, so you went to
it
that convention?
yeah,
So you're not
yeah, I
going
was
to
there.
this one, are you?
No, no, I'm not going to. And it has nothing to do with that. I wasn't going anyways.
Okay.
Um,
Um,
yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah.
funny.
I'm
I
just
mean,
too busy with everything else. I haven't really been attending cons, at all recently.
I just noticed like you can't say anything about anybody on Facebook without people getting some kind of heated with the debate or whatever. Like I just said something about how Britney Spears, like happy birthday Britney Spears. I adore her even though right now she's going through some crazy time, through some crazy
Mhm.
times. And I was talking about her, like, her Instagram stuff, just playing with knives and just looking, I don't know, a little weird. Like, just there's something manic about her right now. And I was
Yeah,
just saying that, and then all of a sudden, oh my God, I'm talking about her book or I'm talking about all this other shit. And then people are unfriending me or blocking me over it. And I'm just like, really? Like I all I said was that, I kind of felt sorry for her. That was it. Like she's going through some stuff. Like I
yeah.
was the
I mean,
one.
I'm glad she's free now,
I'm
but
glad she's
at this
free.
at the same time, yeah, I'm like, I do hope that someone is watching over her because it's almost like because she's been kind of contained so long that she still just got kind of like a childlike mind. It's like yeah, I don't think anyone should be controlling her, but I feel like someone should be at least keeping an eye on her, just to ensure that she's safe.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. When she was playing with the knives, I was a little worried, and then she said they were fake knives. They did not look like fake knives. I'm
They
sorry.
they they were clanking unless she added the fucking sound in afterwards. They were clanking when she was hitting them together.
Yeah, so I think she was having fun, and then it caused a lot of controversy because she's just I don't know. She's not used to like this TikTok Instagram world, So she's like it's like she's going in really full force and it's great. Like I love that. Like I'm okay with that. As long as she's Like make sure she is actually like stable right now, which she maybe she is. Maybe I'm a little, I'm going a little crazy, but I didn't expect people to like go, oh well, I don't like your attitude, so I'm not. And I'm like, all right, peace, I guess. I don't know. Like,
Comes with the territory of speaking your opinion. I mean,
yeah.
even if you're not saying anything out of the way, if you speak your opinion, you always have the chance of people misinterpreting what you say
Mm-hmm.
and getting mad over something you weren't even implying.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure you get a lot of that too, just posting whatever you post, Sometimes I'm sure you post things that are other than work posts, like stuff, that your opinions.
Yeah, I try to be a little conscious about what I post. Every time I post anything, I always know, you know, is it worth posting this? Because if I post this, then more than likely it's going to be filled with comments, and the comments will be this. And so I always kind of weigh stuff and whether it's worth posting. But
It reflects your business, not just yourself, you know.
yeah, exactly. Yep.
And a
So I
lot of people
can't.
don't realize that, I don't think, you know.
Yeah, yeah. I've dealt with people in the past that have put their foot in their mouth, and they're posting stuff on Facebook, and I'm like, maybe you should have a separate Facebook because you're wanting to be an actor, and but you're posting stuff that is alienating a lot of people from wanting anything to do with you. Maybe you should have a private one and keep your acting stuff on a different one because you post these opinions and you're cutting yourself out of jobs.
I think I know one person you're talking about on that, and I kind of laugh when I see that sort of stuff because it's it's like, okay, so your political opinion is your political opinion, whatever, but do you only want to work with people who have your political opinion, or do you want to work with
Yeah.
everybody? And if you
Well,
only want to work with people who have your political opinion, then, by all means.
yeah, I actually had to let someone go who was originally supposed to be in Bloody Summer Camp, the original one. It wasn't political. It was more of a opinion about certain stuff. But the thing is, I didn't care. I mean, I didn't agree with him, but he pissed off a bunch of the cast members, and I'm like, I gotta let go of you, or I gotta deal with four other fucking people that are pissed off because of you, and you're the one that ran your mouth, not them. So I ended up having to recast that person because no one wanted to fucking work with him because he basically his opinion insulted half the fucking cast. I mean, it was a careless opinion, and like I said, it struck a nerve because it had to do with it had to do with nudity, and we had several cast members that didn't mind doing nudity, and basically said stuff like people who do nudity will never have a stable marriage and shit like that. And it was just like
What?
really, yeah,
Like, first of
saying
all, I mean, I don't know the person who you're talking about, nor do I care,
yeah,
but to say something like that, like judging like that, of that person, like they don't they don't know that person well enough to probably say that, they're just
he he he's it seemed like it came from something personal with him. I don't know what, but it just came out of nowhere, and it felt like there was a reason for him posting it. Something in his life, I don't know. But when he posted it, he pissed people off. They said stuff, and he doubled down on it. And I tried to tell him like, dude, just maybe let the shit go. I mean, you're insulting these fucking people. Half of them, have done nudity and are doing nudity in this film, and he doubled down on it. I'm like, all right, well, you're gone.
Yep.
Like I said, no one wants you on a fucking set now.
No.
So
You know, I've been lucky right now that I haven't had that sort of thing happen. I did have one thing, and it wasn't like I had uh I had this actor. Well, is act young actress, and I'm not gonna say who the name is, but maybe you've been contacted by her father at some point or whatever. But I had this one actress that was signed on to be in one of my projects, and unfortunately, we didn't raise enough money to fly her and her father and put them out and give them money like I thought we were going to. So I said, I'm sorry, we're gonna have to find somebody local, and they got the father got pissed at me and was just like and then anytime I would do like a Kickstarter or something, he would comment on the Kickstarter thing, saying, "Oh man, this guy again, don't put money," like trying to kill my business and everything, just because I had to recast and everything. And I was just like, what the hell? And then I found out later, other people, they're like, don't work with this person at all, too. And I'm like, thank you. Why do people keep putting, and his daughter is getting older now, so she's gonna hopefully be able to one day like not need him and to do everything. So hopefully that'll happen for her because he is like the worst dad manager or whatever dadager, I think, because there's a
yeah,
momager, what's a dadager, I guess, so
yeah.
I don't know if you probably have no idea what I'm talking about, but you know
I don't think so. Yeah,
good.
that doesn't sound familiar.
Good. Hopefully you don't ever have to deal with that person. But when I dealt with him, and I won't ever name him or whatever, but he will probably you could probably find out if he ever posts again on any of my if I ever do another Kickstarter or something.
Yeah,
Ugh, it's just annoying, you know. Because that's what he seems to search as Kickstarters to find work for his daughter. And I think you've worked with young actors before, right?
yeah. The last one, Slashers, we had a couple people under 18.
And what was it easy dealing with their parents?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we most of them we only had for one day, so yeah, it was kind of like they there's two people that came for 2 days, and yeah, both their parents were fine. And then the other two people, they only came for a day. They're only there for a couple hours. So, yeah, I mean, it went pretty well, considering like it was such a short period of time. Um, so yeah, I didn't really have a problem with it.
It's funny because I've interviewed a couple teen actors and stuff, and they are so freaking smart. Like, I was like, man, when I was a teenager, I was dumb as shit. These kids,
Yeah,
these kids actually know what the fuck's up. They know how these characters are and how to break it, do all this stuff. And I'm just like, damn, like when I was your age, I was doing drama and I had no idea what the fuck I was doing. These people, like, I think it's because of the internet and because of like YouTube and being able to like really learn the craft, doing
yeah.
classes.
They the kids that we worked with, I was really impressed with them. We had some really talented actresses. They're the opening sequence of the film. I think it's going to be. I think the opening scene is going to be a pretty memorable one, especially the two lead girls that we had cast, Caroline Williams and Molly Murphy. They did amazing.
Hey, Caroline Williams?
Yeah.
Not the Caroline Williams from like Texas Chainsaw.
Oh shit. No. I always. I'm sorry, Caroline Johnson.
Okay.
I always get the Williams because the kid Sawyer. His dad, his dad's name's David Williams. So I always get the kids' names mixed up. Yeah, Caroline Johnson, David Williams, Molly Murphy, and oh, she's Adrian. Shit, I don't want to mispronounce the name. Um, Uh, Ariana Harris.
Oh, Ariane, that was what I was talking about. I interviewed her and she was just like she knew her shit, man. She was very smart
Yeah.
and she's doing a lot of work. And
Hmm.
it's fun that I think she's from Virginia, so I adore her completely and I think she's a sweetheart, you know. And hopefully hopefully she blows up and gets bigger and bigger and bigger, you know.
Yeah.
Um
Yeah,
uh
she had a really small part in our film, not as big as the other ones, mainly because she looked to me she looked like a dead ringer because they were supposed to play the younger versions of the cast in the film, and she looked so much like Gretchen, who played one of the older characters in the film, that that's why she ended up in that role. But so she had a really small part, but um we enjoyed having her on set.
yeah. Um So are you guys going to any conventions coming up?
Don't know. Um, I I'm not supposed to be. I'm not booked at as a vendor anywhere. I usually like to go to Creature Feature, which is in April. Um, I might go to that, but that would just be as a patron. And then we might be at Carolina Fear Fest. I don't know. Outside of that, I don't have any plans to go anywhere.
I saw your little your little jab at Matt Burns today with Tom Matthews.
I mean, it wasn't specifically at Matt Burns, but
Well, he was promoting
um,
it, so I just you know, it's kind of laughing.
yeah.
But it was a jab at like, you know, it was written like that, but it was kind of funny, you know.
Well, I mean, the only reason I posted is I commented and said something 2 days ago that the name was misspelled. I don't know if they didn't see the comment, but yeah, I wrote 2 days ago and like, hey, just let you know, Tom Matthews' name is misspelled. Because I mean, if I was Tom Matthews, I'd want my name spelled right. So,
Especially if it's spelled specifically that way, you know what I mean?
yeah,
That would
I kept checking, and I kept checking, and it was still the same. I'm like, are they ever gonna fix it? And so I made the meme out of it. So.
I think it's so funny because I wonder if they'll announce you as a guest and it'll be David Keir. Yeah.
They'll if they ever do, they'll misspell my name on purpose because of that.
Yeah. But yeah, that'll be kind of funny. Have you ever gotten that? Like have you ever gotten Keir instead of Kerr?
All the fucking time.
Really?
Yes, ever since I was a kid, if someone didn't know my name, they would say David Keir, David Keir, David Keir. That is that is the go-to pronunciation that people who don't know my last name would pronounce it as Keir.
I'm sorry, but like I know like I didn't when I first didn't know you, I still like heard your read your last name. I still called you Kerr because it doesn't make any sense to say Kier, you know, with
I don't
it
get
spelled
it
that way.
either. If it To me, Keir is Keer or
Right,
Kier.
right.
I
You know,
mean, to me,
hey,
Ker, it's got two R's. Obviously, there's a
Kerr.
hard R in there. Yeah,
You know, I mean,
So
I could
yeah, I don't get it either, but I don't know.
I could see like yeah, Kerr, you know, or something because it's got two R's, you know, but I
The second mispronunciation, which wasn't nowhere near as much as Kier, but I have been called David Carr before too.
R.
Carr, which
That
uh,
doesn't even have an A in it.
yeah, I don't get that one either. But David Carr or David Keir, um, it's funny. They rarely say Kerr. They're like, is it Carr or Keir? It's Kerr. Uh,
I want to like fuck with people because my name is Jonathan, and I want to be like, oh no, it's Joe Nathan. You know, It's
Yeah,
just like if a telemarketer calls, it's like, is Jonathan there? And I'll be like, no, it's Joe Nathan. You
yeah,
know,
Joe Nathan.
you have to
Joe
call me Joe
Nathan, Joe Nathan Moati.
Moati. Yeah. God, if nobody have ever called me Maddie, you know, you know,
Mowdy. Maybe they'll call you Mowdy.
Mouty.
Makes as much sense as Kier.
I know. I don't understand that at all. But uh people are just weird these days. Like they can't pronounce shit and and then that's why all these slang starts getting made because people can't pronounce shit, so it becomes its own word. You know?
Yeah.
Like that's how I view it. That's what's going on with our country right now. It's just or world, I don't know, whatever. But like the weird freaking words people make up. Because there's they say "ite" instead of "all right." When
Yep.
that started happening, when I was younger, I was like, wait, what? Like, why don't you just say "all right"? You know, like and it just becomes like this thing where everybody just changes something, and it becomes a completely different
Sus.
word. Sus.
Yeah.
But that
Sus.
sort of makes that makes sense, to say sus because it's suspicious or whatever. That like I'm okay with that.
Abbreviation.
That's
Yeah.
abbreviation. Yeah, it's a shortening of the word. I'm fine with that. But like I guess I guess that's I then, isn't that the same, I guess? It's just somebody just was like I just don't want to say I just don't want to say all right, all L and R. I just want to go ite. Like I don't know. We're a
I
little off.
I think I think the thing I hate the worst is it's a real word, but they're using a different word that sounds like it in place of it. Have you seen that? Like I can't think of an example,
I know what
but
you're
they'll
talking
say
about because
something.
I think I know what you're talking about because it drives me crazy too when somebody says a word that's similar. It's like they got auto corrected wrong and they just kept it.
Well,
You know?
and that's part of that's part of the new age slang is they'll say a different word that sounds similar, but that's not the word, but that's what they call it now because somewhere along the way someone got confused and they just stuck with it.
You're right. Like somebody wrote something out on and like a message to somebody and it came out wrong. And they're like, well, fuck it. That's just a new word. Just gonna go
Yeah.
with that word now. And then it caught on somehow. I don't even know how any of this catches on because like people were talking about all these different slang words and like your buddy Matt Skinner, our buddy Matt Skinner, just goes crazy about this shit. He doesn't understand anything that people are saying. Uh,
Yeah.
and so he'll say these things. I'll just kind of laugh about it because I'm like, I have no idea, you know. Um, so when's Go Away come out?
So go away. I'm shooting to have it out uh by summertime. What happened with that is it's already released through our to our backers. But after we did the backer version, shortened the film a bit and I re-edited. I wasn't entirely happy with how the opening was. I re-edited the opening. I re-edited a couple of the fight scenes, and then we got some of the music was rescored. So we finished all of that, and it's been color graded, it's edited. The last final stage is my sound editor is finishing the final sound. As
Hmm.
soon as he's done, which he's had it for a while, once I get that back, I'm sending it off to distributors to get get offers, and hopefully, if it's anything like Bloody Summer Camp, after we sign with the distributor, they had it out in about 3 months. So
Nice. Well, it sounds like yeah, you guys are busy. You guys got the Indiegogo going for right? Like you're gonna have an Indiegogo going for
in February, yeah,
yeah.
February, play some Camp 2 Indiegogo.
When do you know the date yet for it, or is that not?
Not quite, but I'm thinking it's going to be mid-February, probably just around Valentine's Day.
Nice. You know, what a great Valentine gift, everybody. Go spend, money on Bloody Summer Camp 2. Very happy to see Felicity's
Exactly.
back because
Yeah.
I absolutely adore her and uh it's so funny when I'm watching like Bloody Summer Camp, it kind of reminded me there's another one she was in Caesar and Otto's Summer Camp Massacre. And
Yeah.
I love the Caesar Auto stuff. I'm good friends with Dave, like and Paul. I love those guys to death. I don't know if you know them too well or not, but yeah,
I've s- I don't really know him. I spoke to Dave a couple times on Facebook, but that's about it.
yeah, he's a good guy. I've had him on my radio show
Yeah.
back in the day, and he's
I I love
and
their
Paul.
I love their movies. They're really Abbott and Costello-ish.
Yeah.
I think they're hilarious. Honestly, what's funny is the original title that I wanted for Bloody Summer Camp was Summer Camp Massacre, but
Mm.
uh, he already had it with his film, so yeah, that was the title that I originally wanted for
You're
Summer Camp
like,
Massacre.
damn it,
Yeah,
Dave.
but I love that film. I thought that film was fucking hilarious. So,
Once again, Felissa Rose in both of them,
yep,
and so yeah, and Felissa is one of the sweetest, most amazing people. I remember she was at Scares at Kara one year, and we've known each other. We've hung out, and so we've even talked on the. She told me, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this or not, but she had told me about the Victor Crowley thing before it happened, you know.
yeah.
And she was wonderful, very sweet girl, and love her to death. And so when I found out, oh, she's gonna be back, because I mean, you guys should see Bloody Summer Camp. It's still on Tubi if I'm correct. So,
Yep. Tubi, Amazon Prime. Even if you don't have those, Voodoo.
or you
You
can
know,
buy it from Dave, himself.
yeah.
What's your
Yep. We
website?
have. So my website is slasher15.com.
Slasher15.com. Very simple.
Yep.
You know. So yeah, go buy his because you have a store there, right?
Yeah, there's a store and you can buy the DVD or Blu-ray on there.
Do you have merch? Do you have like Slasher 15 merch there?
I do. I have to connect it because we have a separate store for the merch. I do need to get that added to the website so that people can pick up the merch. We got T-shirts, hats, all that stuff.
Do you have mugs? I love mugs. I don't know why. I just
We have mugs on hand, not on the store, but we
you
have
sell
some of
them at
the
the conventions and stuff.
yeah we still have some of the I Survived Camp Trust
Nice.
Fall mugs. Yeah.
Sweet. So yeah, for some reason I collect them and then it drives my family crazy, 'cause they take up too much space, and everything. But I absolutely, and I use every mug I can, or whatever. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm really excited. You got so much stuff going on. Like, I mean, this year alone, I think you'll have at least two projects out, right? You'll have Go Away that comes out, then I believe Slasher Nurse will probably come out in the fall or so.
We're shooting to now. Slash Nurse probably won't be out publicly this year, but we're shooting to have the premiere and hopefully have the backer copies out this year. So yeah.
That's awesome. You're busy. So, it probably takes the longest to do like post-production, and your and stuff, right?
Yeah, that's pre-production um takes a little bit of time, and so does actual production, filming and everything. But post-production, yeah, if you're including editing, and then if you're also including like the distribution side of it, getting the deliverables together, and and shopping for distributors, it's a pretty long process.
Dang. Well, congratulations, because you're getting this shit out there. You know,
Thank
you're
you,
doing
man.
it. So yeah, everybody check out slasher15.com and check out all the stuff. I mean, sure, there's lots of information out there on that website. And how can people reach you if they need to?
So we have a Facebook page. We're facebook.com/slasher15 films. We are on Twitter at Bloody Camp, or actually it's X now, but at Bloody Camp. And we're on Instagram /15 films as well. And we also are on Instagram as Bloody Summer Camp.
Nice. Yeah, like, are you really good at the social media stuff, or you like kind of like you let other people handle it?
I have it. I do handle basically all of our social media. I think there's a couple of us on the /15 Facebook page. But as far as like the Instagram and Twitter, I handle all of that. That's why you probably won't see me post as much on those because Facebook is usually our main, source of information and stuff like that because it's where we get the most interactions is from Facebook.
Yeah, it's so funny because like I have a person who does our is supposed to do our social media stuff, and it's funny because like I'm like, how do I? Because I would have to give him the stuff to do to put out. Why wouldn't I just do it myself? So I haven't gotten to the
Yeah,
point where I'm so busy that, but still, like, there's like, I haven't got to that point where I'm like big enough where I have somebody under me that's handling all the stuff to that other person. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
it,
I haven't figured it out yet either. Like you said, I feel like if I have to delegate it, it's almost faster for me to just do it than to give the people the stuff to do.
right. Like if you have content like a picture or something. Otherwise I would have to go, hey, go search for a picture to post or whatever, and they might post the wrong picture that I don't want, you know what I mean? So like
Yep.
even though I have somebody who's been volunteering and been helping out when they can, um unless it's if it's like a announcement or it's something that's very important, I generally do it myself, and I let that person handle like the smaller stuff. And he's still like, if I promote something, he'll share it, to his page or whatever, which I think is great. But aside from that, my buddy Paul is just like, why don't you let him handle that? I'm like, cause I'd have to like tell him what to do, and then I might as well do it. It just doesn't
Yeah.
make any sense to me yet. But one day if I get big enough, where I'm making enough stuff or whatever, and I need, somebody to step in and help out, that becomes a different thing, different story.
Yeah.
I'm sure one day it'll get that like that with you guys because you guys will continue to keep making stuff and get bigger and bigger stuff, and then eventually you guys will need, more help.
If I can, like I said, if I can ever figure out how to actually put it off on someone else without me having to do half the work anyways. Yeah. I mean, it would be a lot easier for me if I didn't have so much stuff to do. But like I said, I can't, anytime I think about putting something off on someone else, I'm like, well, then I got to tell them how to do it. And then then, that's going to take some time. And then, have to give them the stuff that they need to do it. It's like, it's just easier for me to just do it.
And then you gotta say what they need to say on the post. So
And
if you're like,
then I got to see if they did it right. So I'm going to have to look it
yeah.
over.
Yeah, so it's once again, it's like you're already doing it yourself anyway, right? Like,
Yeah.
'cause you don't want something to go out and then be like, oh, I didn't approve that, So it's sort of funny. I don't know. I think it's sort of a comical situation, in my opinion, to do that. But
Yeah.
it's nice when you're a big company. Like I follow a guy on YouTube. His name's Gary V, and he has everybody like, you know, making videos for him. But he has like he has a company, like a big fucking company, and so he can hire 30 people to do his social media stuff, right? And
Yeah.
everything. And people are like, "Oh man, I wish my videos were like yours, dude. your videos can't be like his because you don't have like millions of dollars to hire these people to do this. Like you're getting jealous over something that like you can't, like, look at somebody smaller, as like
Yeah,
2,000 people maybe, and then be jealous of those people and see what they're doing,
yeah.
you know. And I think that should be a good thing for filmmakers to understand is like don't be jealous of somebody who's really good at Indiegogo. If you're not really good at Indiegogo, that's fine. Concentrate on what you are good at and work on that.
And don't be jealous. Be inspired.
Oh, that's a good line there. Because yeah, I think that's half the problem is like jealousy becomes hate. What's that Yoda quote? Like, it leads to the dark side because, jealousy leads to hate, leads to anger and all that shit. And it's true. Like a lot of that, it becomes a problem and then you're focused on them when you should be just focused on what you're doing, you know?
Yeah, instead of getting jealous and being bitter and just hating on someone, see what they're doing and have that inspire you and motivate you to try and do it yourself.
Right.
And like you said, never compare yourself until you're at the same level as them. Don't see someone up here and then try to do it yourself and get pissed off because you're here and here. Work your way up, and if you're here, you know, look at yourself compared to other people and that, and like, but never look at it and be mad that someone else is succeeding. Just do your best and appreciate where you're at.
Yeah.
Some people think where I am is a level of success, and then I think that where someone else is a level of success. Because we're always looking up. We're
Mm-hmm.
not really looking around and appreciating where you're at because you're always looking at where you're not at.
What is like your ultimate goal as a filmmaker?
My ultimate goal would be to do this, to be able to do this for a living, and without a 40-hour job attached to it. Because right now, the speed at what we put films out and what I can give attention to is based off of what I can get done when there's 40 hours of my life that's put somewhere else. If I could make films and sustain finances to be able to do that, wake up in the morning, come in here, sit down at the computer, edit, cast and do all that, I'd be able to put more films out. I'd be able to put more attention into our films. That'd be my goal. Is just um, if this becomes a actual, um, I guess you could call it financial success in the sense of paying the bills, really.
Yeah. Like, I mean, do you have like dreams of being a Hollywood director, or do you want to like always stay at the indie level?
Not I don't think it's necessarily that I don't, you know, that I don't want it, but I just don't foresee me ever doing a blockbuster film, and I'm fine with that. I'm not saying that if I didn't somehow end up there with the offer, that I wouldn't take it. But in my perspective, from what I see, I don't see that as being something that I'll end up at. I see myself as trying to be successful in the indie film world, but not like, again, not that I wouldn't accept an offer if I thought it was worth doing. If I thought I wasn't gonna fuck it up. Um, but yeah, my gauging of success, my eyes are in the indie world right
It was so funny back in the day, Bruce Campbell on his in his book, Shinsuke Kill, he had like a whole chapter that was like I believe called like the bigger or the bigger the project, the lesser the role or something like that, or whatever. So like if he was in a big time like he was in Congo and stuff, and he had a small role, right? But then if he did
Yeah,
like, uh, Running Time, which was an independent short or not short feature, but independent feature, he did, he was the lead, and stuff like that. Now, then he did Bird Notice, and that kind of changed his world, I think, and everything. But for a while, that was really how he believed. He believed that, and I think some people feel that way, like maybe, sometimes the bigger the thing, the smaller the role for them, in some way or another. Or the bigger the smaller the project, the bigger the role they have, and
yeah. Well, and definitely in indie filmmaking, that is true as far as your control and your abilities. Like indie films, I don't. If I'm doing a film, I have 100% creative. If I ever do a blockbuster film, my creative control is going to be limited to what people tell me I could do. You know,
Mhm.
so like I said, it's not that I wouldn't, but that's not something that I foresee. I'm just hoping to make it where I'm at.
Exactly. And you're doing good, dude. You're out there, you're getting your shit done, you're on Tubi. I mean, to me, being online and being on, having a movie on a streaming platform of any kind is a big achievement, you know.
Yeah,
I think people, don't appreciate where they are. And like you said before, they want to go up and they look higher, you know. So like they don't appreciate like where they are at that moment, and instead, for me, I'm not where I'm exactly want to be, but it's a journey, to get there exactly where I want to be, and I'm kind of like you. I'd like to do this full time without having to have a job, like a regular job or whatever,
yeah.
but
And I'm appreciative of where I'm at. I do. I acknowledge. Um, we have milestones, and every time we reach a milestone, I'm proud, and it encourages me. Like when we did our first film, Curses Slash Nurse, the fact that we got a distribution on that,
Mhm.
it was a tiny distributor in Texas, but we got distribution. The fact that it got on Amazon Prime, you know, to hell was what the movie was like. The fact that I got a movie on Amazon Prime, that was a milestone. With Return of the Slashers, we got it on Trauma. Trauma now. The fact that we can technically say we have a Trauma film. And then, Bloody Summer Camp, we got on a decent distributor, with Gravitas Ventures. And then, with every crowdfunder, we raise more and more money, and we're getting bigger budgets. And so, every film, I look at the things that we've done, that we've accomplished, that we didn't accomplish prior. So, and they're always, it's always motivation for me. The fact of looking like, yes, this is the most money we've raised on a crowdfunder. This is the biggest budget that we've got. We were able to do this. We were able to accomplish this, and always set new goals. I always wonder, what goal are we going to accomplish next? What's the next thing that we're going to be able to do that we haven't done before?
That's awesome, dude. I'm very I'm very happy to see like your progress as it goes. As you said, like this next stuff you accomplish, like you can cross that off and then you go on, hopefully on to the next, and hopefully, everybody wants to go keep rising and not slide back at all. So just, I guess, keep doing it, dude.
Thank you, man. We're trying. Like I said, every film, we always say every film we try to make it better than the previous one. That's our goal, is to continue to progress.
And that's what you got to do. I think there are filmmakers out there, especially indie filmmakers out there, that don't progress. They just do the same thing every single time. And that's fine if that's what works for you, whatever, if you're happy. But after a while, the audience that's watching your films kind of gets a little bored, by it. And, wants you to grow as an artist, or whatever. And the fact that it sounds like you're growing as an artist each time because like you want to, you don't want to stay stagnant and do the same thing. You want people to go, "Oh man, that was great. Oh, the next movie, oh, that's even better."
Yeah, and like you said, the ones that just kind of stay, like I said, if that's where you're happy, also. But if you're not getting better, chances are your audience probably isn't going to grow. You
Mhm.
know, my goal is is to get more of a following by making our films better and making our films appealing and liked by more people. Maybe you didn't like, Return of the Slashers, but I feel like we got fans with Bloody Summer Camp that we didn't have with Return. It would go away. We were trying to get new people to like our stuff, even if they maybe didn't like Bloody Summer Camp. Maybe they'll maybe they'll like Go Away. If we make the quality better, if we try to get better actors, if we know, try to upgrade everything, maybe we can get more people who maybe they didn't like what we were doing before, maybe they'll like what we're doing now. The more you progress, the better your films get, the more of a chance you have of broadening your audience. And the more audience you get, the more fans you get who contribute to, again, make you get better. You get fans, they contribute, make the film better to get more fans. So,
Exactly. That's what you got to do. Just keep making the next project, and then if it drives up sales, if people are, whatever. I mean, sometimes you find out that the movie wasn't what you thought, like it wasn't going to do as well as you thought it did. And that's a learning experience.
yeah,
And it's a wonderful thing. I always laugh because people are always like, "Oh, I never read bad reviews or whatever of my work," and I love reading bad reviews of my work, because I want to see what people think I did wrong. I don't like the ones that
yeah,
just say this sucks. Like I want somebody to tell me this sucks because this, and this. And, I might agree with them, I might not, like I'm always a little, when I did Scary Story Slumber Party, I was a little, like I know the problems more than anybody else, like I see the stuff that I should have done better each time I watch it, like,
yeah.
and so if somebody's like, oh, I hated it because of this, or it was boring or whatever, I'm like, well, I'm sorry it didn't appeal to you, but some people did like it and some people didn't. Like some people like Gone with the Wind, some people don't, you know?
Yeah.
Does that make it a bad movie or not? I don't know. Like that's, up to you to decide yourself personally, you know?
I 100% agree. I read every single article I can find, every review. I watch every review. If someone said something about my film, I want to read it. Some of them are gut punches. Some of them, admittedly, I'll wake up and if I see a negative review, it might put me in a bad mood for a while. It's not going to linger though, just maybe right after reading it, it might get to me, but I kind of get over it. But I mean, when I find the positive reviews, when I wake up and find the positive reviews, they really fucking motivate me when I see the people that I know or this is the audience, the negative reviews, that's not the audience. But when I see the positive reviews, I'm like, I have an audience. I have fans. I have people that got what we were doing. And the negative ones, I 100% agree with you. I can read a negative review as long as it's not just fucking trash. If you're shitting on the actors and you're just being hateful, um, there's no sense in that. But if
Mm,
you're giving me a constructive review and saying, well, the film was too long, the editing, you know, the editing could have been done a little bit better. I didn't like how they did this, or well, the sound was a little messed up, or the lighting was too dark. If you're giving reasons why you didn't like it, That's good. That's helpful information. That tells me what what I want to improve on. But if you're just like, oh, this is the worst fucking film I've ever seen, or this film fucking sucks. Oh, this film looks like it was filmed on a cell phone. You know, those are just hateful people that just
Yeah.
want something to bitch about.
And I never do that. Like if I'm on Letterboxd and I'm reviewing a movie, I won't ever write like a one or two like word review like this sucks or whatever because
Yeah,
I wouldn't want somebody to do that for me. So I usually, if I really like something, I'll say it. If I don't like something, I'll go, this wasn't for me, but because of this. And then there's a filmmaker out there that does the same stuff every single movie, and he calls it a style. I'm like, dude, people walking around for a whole movie doesn't make it a style. It just makes it boring, like,
yeah,
and stuff. And so I kind of get annoyed when I see, when I see that because I'm like, dude, people are telling you in constant reviews how to fix your stuff, to make it better, and you're choosing to ignore it because you think you have a style. It's not. I just get annoyed
yeah,
by that. I'm like, I don't care for filmmakers who don't want to I won't watch movie unless I'm reviewing it for like one of my indie film cafe stuff. I will not review people or will not watch a movie done by people who just don't want to grow, Like I
yeah.
just
The two reviews that I cannot stand are the ones that hatefully shit on the actors because whether or not you think that their acting is bad, um, you can say that you didn't think the acting was great or that the acting was poor, but like just to be hateful about it and say, these fucking actors, they fucking suck, acting shit. Anything that's targeting or even targeting specific actors is really cruel. And then there's the ones who are like, I cut this off 10 minutes in. Then you shouldn't be fucking reviewing it because you didn't watch the film. I
yeah.
actually had a review taken down on Letterboxd because they said I turned this film off 10 minutes through. I got them to remove it because I commented, I submitted it and said they admitted through their own words they did not watch this film, so they should not review it, and they took it down.
Yeah, that's shit. That absolutely. If I've only watched 10 minutes of a movie, I'm not reviewing it because, it would be like me doing Indie Film Cafe coming on and saying, "Oh, we only watched Hip Hop Locos for 5 minutes or whatever, and then we had to turn it off." Like, then you can't read.
Well, yeah,
Then what's your
and
review? Like, I had to watch the whole fucking shitty ass movie, but I
and
did it.
there's
You know.
there's a couple of reviews where people said, well, it started off slow, but it got better in the second half. Okay, even if the first 10 minutes suck,
Yeah.
how you know the movie didn't get better after that? You know,
Or, yeah, exactly. Like
I
maybe it
can at least I can at least respect it if you say you turn it off halfway through. At least you fucking gave it a
tried.
chance.
You
Yeah,
tried. You just couldn't get through it. But even then, you shouldn't be reviewing it because you hadn't watched the
yeah,
whole thing. If you had watched the whole thing of something, you can say it on your Facebook. You can say, "Oh, I tried watching this movie, but only got halfway through, or I only got 10 minutes in." That's fine. That's not a review. That's just your opinion, of
yeah,
the movie or whatever. And that's fine. But to actually go on Letterboxd or IMDb or Rotten Tomatoes and give a score, oh,
yeah,
this is a 0, which people don't think about that, but that brings the score down to whatever. And if you didn't watch the whole fucking movie, you should not be doing a score,
yeah.
it's not fair. And then there's the people who like I think they're paid by other companies to go and just bring down movies that haven't even been watched. There was one guy that was going around saying this sucks on everything, and he did it on one movie that wasn't even out yet. Nobody had ever seen it. And he said this
Yeah,
sucks. And the people wrote under it back then was like, how do you know? You haven't seen it. Like it doesn't make any sense.
yeah. I tried to get a couple reviews, not reviews, but ratings that I found on IMDb, taken off because this was before Bloody Summer Camp had come out. I think it had premiered. We had shown it a couple times, but like, there were no copies out yet. But yet we had a couple reviews that were from outside the country.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's what you're the same thing I'm talking about, where it just says this sucks, you know?
Well, I don't think those were even reviewed. It was just a rating. Like
Oh.
I looked at the rating information, and there was like a like it was like only two. It was like two that was like out of the U.S. I'm like, this is impossible because the fucking thing is only shown in theaters in America. They still wouldn't take it down though, which I thought was
IMDb is
fucked up.
hard, man. Like,
Yeah.
and I had one person screw with my IMDb. They went on my IMDb and changed my information and my trivia and like my bio and then put a fake picture up there on me, and I still haven't gotten the fake picture down. Like I can't,
God
you
damn,
know.
really?
Yeah, the because I keep saying this is not me, and
Yeah.
it's on my account, and they haven't gotten rid of it. So it's they've got, if you look at it, you can look at it right now. It's Stro from Rob Kellum, who great actor, but he's not me. Looks nothing like me. He's a professional wrestler, but whoever did it thought it would be funny to fuck with my IMDb like that. And I don't know who it is. And I mean, I have guesses, but like until they're innocent until proven guilty, like we've talked about before. I don't
Yeah.
know if they've done it or not, and I'm not gonna confront them about something, because whatever, could have been some random person, which
Yeah.
that's the sad thing about IMDb is anybody can do whatever they want. It's like Wikipedia, they can just edit anything and they'll allow it,
Oh,
you know.
well, it's really easy to add shit. It's not so easy to take it down.
Right.
So on Bloody Summer Camp, um, someone added two, and now it is from our film, but someone added two pictures of two of the cast members from certain parts of the film, but it was like the first couple pictures that came up, and being that it's my fucking movie and I'm the director, I wrote the IMDb and like, I didn't put these pictures on here. I think these pictures are inappropriate to be, I don't, I'd like them taken down, and they wouldn't take them. They're still up now. I mean, don't get me wrong. Again, it's from the movie, but I just didn't feel like it should have been on the IMDb page. I felt like it was disrespectful. I don't know who the fuck added them because anyone can change our IMDb page.
Yeah, I mean, that's like some bitter shit, like when people do that, like, because they're just right then and there, they're just actually fucking with your business, and stuff.
Well,
So,
I mean, I didn't care too much about us. I was just more or less like I didn't think it was fair to the actresses, that they chose those specific pictures to put on there. It's like, that didn't need to be on there. But
I
yeah,
mean,
and IMDb didn't do shit about it.
yeah,
They'll put anything on there, but taking it off is a nightmare.
yeah. Well, because I mean, if you have like an IMDb Pro account, it feels like you can do almost anything, like they give those people like carte blanche to do whatever they want. I was able to get rid of all the trivia stuff that was negative and all, and then change my bio. But I couldn't change it back to what it was. I had to come up with a brand new bio, which I was fine with because I didn't really like the old bio. I
Yeah,
wanted to change it at some point anyway. So in a way, they did do me a favor. But my trivia, I forgot what I put on my trivia except for one thing, and they had changed everything else from my trivia to be random shit, and stuff like working at McDonald's or some shit, which I never did, you know, or Wendy's or something, and shit like that. I'm like, what the, like you're now just being very juvenile,
yeah,
and you think you're funny, but the problem is you're like fucking with people's like careers, like
yeah,
people see that, like, like they look at your IMDb and they see they want to see if they want to work with you, and so. it's a pain in the ass, but what can you do? All you can do is just try to get things taken down or fixed or edited and then hope that like not that many people see it. But you know, it's funny. I was hanging out with do you know Troy Froman? He's an actor.
I don't think so.
He was in like Saved by the Bell. He played Ox, the jock guy, but he has his own deli. And I went out. I was in California, went out and hung out with him, and he was like, "Can I ask you a question?" And I was like, "Sure." And he goes, "What's up with this?" And he showed me the picture, and I was like, "It's he's like, "Do you want me to get it taken down?" I'm like, I'll try to get it taken down at some point. It's a pain in the ass, you know.
Yeah,
And I don't know if he can just get it taken down, you know. I think you have to be the owner of the page, or whatever. But it's just so it's such a like if he's bringing that up to me, I'm like, oh no. If he saw that, that means other people are looking at my IMDb and seeing that. So it's a pain in the ass.
yeah,
But I mean, whatever. Anyway, I'm so glad we got a chance to chat. And I know, like you said, that the Indiegogo is coming out. So when it does, I will post it up here so people can check it out. But I guess by the time that this comes out, will be a little earlier than when the Indiegogo actually like releases. So, maybe a couple of weeks before, So when it does, I will post it, and then you can repost this, thing or whatever and get people excited, you know.
yeah, yeah,
So
man.
everybody check out their Indiegogo coming up and help them out. Go to slasher15.com. I'd highly recommend getting Bloody Summer Camp. I really, really enjoyed that movie. Michael and I did a review of it together. We just had a blast chatting about it. Which is really weird because, we did Bloody Summer Camp for him and then Scary Story Slumber Party for me. So it was a little weird because, we're reviewing our own, movies or whatever that we're part of, but it's not a review. It's more like a
Well,
Q&A.
it's yeah, it's helpful. I mean, he's not a part of it, but at the same time, you're there to not only to discuss it with him, So I mean, I think it was great. It was a great idea. It's like I said, you have one person who was really reviewing it, and then the other guy who was there to assist and provide information about it. So,
Exactly. Yeah, that was fun. And when we did Scary Story Slumber Party, I basically all I wanted to do was tell people about all the things that like they might not know about the project or whatever, like little behind the scenes tidbits and stuff. And he did that for Bloody Summer Camp because he would tell us things that happened on the set that was pretty cool, I mean, I'm sure, like any set, there are private things that don't get discussed, or whatever, and whatnot. But that it was a fun show, and so I suggest everybody check that out for horror film lovers. It was like the season 3 finale, and so the season 4 opener was Scary Story. So you know, and I'd suggest watching Bloody Summer Camp first, before doing that because then you'll know what we're talking about because I try to get as detailed as possible with stuff with questions, like that he might know that kind of made me wonder while I was shooting it, and everything. And I'm sure there's lots more that you'd be able to tell, So maybe we'll have you come back at some point and do,
yeah, man.
a chat about it. And
Yeah, that'd be great, man.
yeah, definitely. So everybody check out Slasher 15 and David Kerr, not Kier, you know. So or what Carr, David Carr.
Or yeah,
Yeah, no, it's David Kerr. So do you like David or Dave? Because you go by both.
uh, yeah. Usually Dave.
Dave.
Yeah,
Okay.
usually my family's the only ones that anymore that really call me Dave. So,
It's usually if they're mad at you, right? Like
yeah,
your mom uses your full
my
freaking
mom.
name,
Yeah,
your middle name too and everything. Then you're in trouble, when they break that out,
that's the only time you hear your middle name. That's what it's for, is so you know you're in trouble.
I know. Like, I don't think, yeah, literally, I think there's no other reason for a middle name. I wonder about the people who don't have a middle name, if they, if they're not as scared, and their parents like yell out they're just their two names, you know. And they're like, "Ha, you don't scare me. I don't have a middle name." All
Yeah.
right, everybody. Hope you guys enjoyed this, and join me in 2 weeks. I'll have another guest. Don't even know who I'm. Haven't interviewed anybody yet, so no idea. But we'll have a fun show for you guys. But until then, everybody, talk to you later.
Take it
Bye.
easy.